That line, if you think I'm going out like Pac and Biggie, you must be stupid, because it's like, shit, like everybody know it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
the game wasn't showing you 50% of all that love and glorification when you was alive. It's like, let a nigga know how great they is when they alive.
On the streets of Memphis, a voice rose from struggle, raw, magnetic, and unstoppable. Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., better known as Young Dolph, turned hustler tales into hip-hop anthems, built an empire from the ground up, and was gunned down in cold blood at the height of his success. Dolph was born on July 27, 1985, in Chicago, Illinois. But before his second birthday, his family moved south to Memphis, Tennessee, a city that would shape every part of his future. He grew up with 2 sisters and 2 brothers, and later discovered he was second cousins with another rising star who died too soon, Juice WRLD. But while family ties stretched far, Dolph's day-to-day life was defined by struggle. His parents battled addiction, leaving Dolph to be raised by his grandmother, Ida Mae. Dolph once described Ida Mae as the meanest motherfucker in the world. At the time, he didn't understand her strict rules. But by the age of 15, Dolph realized her lessons were about survival, instilling independence, discipline, and resilience. As a teenager, Dolph attended Hamilton High School. To make money, he cut hair as a barber between the ages of 12 and 15. But by 16, the pull of the streets was too strong. He turned to hustling and selling drugs for income, trying to carve his own path by any means necessary. Dolph once recalled the only time his grandmother caught him trying to stuff contraband in his shorts. Ida Mae's furious reaction shook him to his core, because her opinion was the only one he truly cared about. Ida Mae ran a disciplined household, rarely allowing friends to visit. Yet, in quiet acts of compassion, she sometimes opened her doors to homeless children, teaching Dolph that true generosity could exist even in the midst of poverty. That spirit of giving would become a cornerstone of his character, lasting throughout his life. But tragedy struck in 2008. After a long battle with lung cancer, Ida Mae passed away. For Dolph, it was devastating. He had lost the woman who had raised him, disciplined him, and shaped him into the man he was meant to become. By 2008, Adolph Thornton Jr. was no longer just a young hustler from South Memphis. He was about to step into music. Encouraged by friends, he dropped his first mixtape, Paper Route Campaign. The streets responded, and Dolph knew he'd found his path. 2 years later, Dolph went all in. In 2010, he founded Paper Route Empire, his own independent label, taking inspiration from rap moguls like Master P and Birdman. That same year, he dropped Welcome to Dolph World, hosted by DJ Scream, and packed with Southern legends like 2 Chainz, 8 Ball, and MJG. The message was clear. Dolph wasn't waiting for anyone to sign him. He was building an empire himself. Through mixtapes like High Class Street Music and High Class Street Music 2, Dolph sharpened his delivery. No longer echoing Memphis pioneers like 3 6 Mafia, he developed a style all his own, described as magnetic, vociferous, and raw. By 2012, he was naming projects after crime films like A Time to Kill and Blue Magic, cementing his image as Memphis's new street storyteller. Dolph's name spread beyond Memphis when he linked up with Atlanta trap star Gucci Mane. Together, they dropped East Atlanta Memphis in 2013. That same year, Dolph released South Memphis Kingpin, with the track South Memphis catching fire locally. By 2014, he was nationwide. His tape American Gangster included Preach, a street anthem that became his breakout hit. Suddenly, Young Dolph wasn't just a regional artist, he was a voice people everywhere were paying attention to. Young Dolph had transformed himself into one of rap's most determined independents. By the mid-2010s, he was no longer just a rapper from Memphis. He was the CEO of Paper Route Empire, and soon, the world would see him claim the throne as the self-declared king of Memphis. By 2015, Young Dolph had gone from local mixtape hero to one of the South's most consistent street rappers. His grind was relentless, dropping project after project each one pushing him closer to the spotlight. That year, Dolph dropped The Plug Best Friend, loaded with features from 2 Chainz, Shy Glizzy, and Pee Wee Longway, and even a remix of his breakout hit Preach with Rick Ross and Jeezy. He teamed up with Gucci Mane and Pee Wee Longway for Felix Brothers, and followed up with 16 Zips, featuring T.I., Jadakiss, and more. But the moment that turned him into a household name came in September 2015, his feature on OT Genesis's smash hit Cut It. The single went double platinum and brought Dolph's voice to radios nationwide. Just a month later, he doubled down with Shitting on the Industry and another anthem, Get Paid. In February 2016, Dolph released his debut studio album, King of Memphis. Fully independent under Paper Route Empire, it peaked at number 49 on the Billboard 200, a major feat for an artist with no major label backing. But the album title sparked a war. Memphis rival Yo Gotti and his affiliate Black Youngster took offense, claiming the crown for themselves. Diss tracks flew, and soon, the beef spilled into the streets. In 2017, the feud hit deadly levels. Dolph released Play With Yo Bitch, a diss track aimed straight at Yo Gotti. 2 weeks later, after dropping the video, Dolph's SUV was ambushed in Charlotte, North Carolina. Gunmen fired more than 100 rounds into his vehicle. Dolph survived. His truck was bulletproof.
Yeah, they jumped out.
Bro, no, PK, I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. I'm standing right here. I see
And they're backing up.
Yeah,
they're backing up.
No, PK, this what happened. I'm standing up there. I seen them pull off right here.
Yeah, pull off right
here. Bro, a truck came from right here and pulled up and slammed on brakes. And like a fucking movie, bro.
Yeah, and they start shooting, and they're backing up. They put the car in the truck in reverse.
That's how they start backing up.
Yeah, they're backing up. I saw them.
No. What was crazy though? Bro, they hopped on top of that bitch with a motherfucker, on a serious? Hopped on top with it just
Yes.
But it's a bulletproof vest. It's a bulletproof vest.
Yeah, bulletproof vehicle. Nothing bulletproof. Yeah, truck bulletproof, bro. That ain't no bullet. Yeah, he said the truck bulletproof.
Instead of hiding, he performed that same night. Never one to waste publicity, Dolph turned the Charlotte shooting into fuel for his second studio album, Bulletproof. Every track title on the record spelled out a defiant message to his enemies. It was Dolph telling the world he couldn't be silenced. But the drama didn't end there. Just a few months later, in October 2017, Dolph was in Hollywood when violence found him again. Outside a retail store near the famous tourist strip, an argument escalated into gunfire. Dolph was hit several times. Reports say multiple bullets tore into his torso. He was rushed into critical care, clinging to life. For days, fans feared the worst. But once again, Dolph pulled through. After 2 weeks in the hospital, he walked out alive, battered but unbroken.
I'm Susie Sa.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jeff Vaughn. To our top story tonight, bullets fly near the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Tourists ducking and a rap artist was hit and seriously injured. Tonight, police say an ugly rivalry may be behind that shooting. KCAL9's Crystal Cruz is live in Hollywood right now with the latest on this investigation. Crystal.
Hi, Jeff. Highland and Hollywood back open tonight. So is the Lowe's. But now we know who police want to talk to help fill in the blanks.
And I never had no budget because I got it up.
The LAPD now wants to talk with rapper Yo Gotti following a shooting in front of Lowe's Hotel in Hollywood.
The individual you've mentioned has been possibly identified as being involved in what took place earlier. To what degree, we have no idea at this point.
100 shots.
Another rapper, Young Dolph, in critical condition, shot several times in the body, and police say they have hotel security video they're now looking over.
In the video, an individual produces a gun, a suspect, and he fires toward the individual who was shot.
Detectives looking into the possibility of bad blood between rival rappers. Several months ago in North Carolina, Young Dolph's SUV was shot at 100 times, but he wasn't in it. Witnesses heard the shots here in Hollywood, and nearby security video captured a person running from an SUV.
I've heard about 9 pops. It's like, you know, pop, and then there was a series. And then it stopped.
After Young Dolph was shot, he walked to a nearby shoe store for help. The suspect's gold Cadillac Escalade was found at a gas station nearby, and officers detained 2 men for questioning.
The Hollywood shooting wasn't just another brush with death. It sparked a manhunt. At first, rumors swirled that Yo Gotti himself was connected. Police named him a person of interest, but later cleared him of involvement. Days later, The investigation led to an arrest. Corey McClendon, an associate of Yo Gotti, was taken into custody and charged with attempted murder. The news exploded across headlines. But just as quickly as he was arrested, McClendon was released the very next day, and the charges were dropped. For fans, it felt like justice slipped through the cracks. For Dolph, it was just another reminder. Enemies were everywhere, and survival was never guaranteed.
We have breaking news. A suspect arrested in connection to the shooting of Memphis rapper Young Dolph has now been released.
WMC Action News 5, Jerica Phillips live with the reason Corey McClendon was let go. Morning, Jerica.
Well, good morning, Andrew and Felicia. We are learning new information about 43-year-old McClendon and this associated shooting. We know that he was released after the Los Angeles District Attorney said that they did not have enough evidence to hold him. And so, again, he has been released from jail this morning. And so we are working to get more information about the shooting. We know that McClendon was detained shortly after the broad daylight shooting of Young Dolph Tuesday afternoon outside a Hollywood hotel. McClendon, who had been held on a $1 million bail that he didn't have to pay, was released Thursday evening. McClendon has prior drug and theft-related convictions here in Memphis. Now, 32-year-old Young Dolph reportedly got into a fight with 3 men Tuesday and was thrown to the ground when one of the assailants pulled out a gun and shot the rapper multiple times. Prosecutors are asking for an additional investigation before a decision is made on whether or not to file criminal charges. Now, McClendon does have a close association with Yo Gotti, rapper Yo Gotti, and I was just reading the LA Times. They actually mentioned Memphis, saying that Shelby County Sheriff's deputies tell them that some recent shootings here in Memphis could be connected to this whole feud between rapper Yo Gotti and rapper Young Dolph. So this is a developing situation that, of course, that we are following, and of course we will give you more information as soon as we learn more. Reporting live, Jerica Phillips, WMC Action News 5.
By early 2018, he leaned into his reputation for resilience, dropping the EP Niggas Get Shot Every Day. For Dolph, even near-death experiences became part of his story, fueling his legend as one of rap's most bulletproof hustlers. In just 3 years, Young Dolph went from mixtape king to king of Memphis. But with every new success came bigger targets on his back. For Dolph, survival wasn't just a theme in his music, it was his reality. In 2017, Dolph had signed his cousin by marriage, Key Glock, to Paper Route Empire. The two had bonded at family gatherings, but now they were family in business too, ready to take Memphis rap global. A year later, they proved it with the single Major. The track lived up to its name, climbing to number 47 on the Billboard R&B hip-hop charts, and cementing the pair as one of the South's most formidable duos. That same year, Dolph revealed he had turned down a staggering $22 million record deal. Most rappers would have jumped at the opportunity, but not Dolph. Staying true to his independent grind, he explained, "It really was a good deal, a super good deal to tell you the truth, but it's just, I see something else." Instead of signing away his empire, Dolph struck a distribution deal with Empire Distribution. This gave Paper Route Empire the backing it needed, without giving up control. In September 2018, he released Role Model, a sharp and personal album that marked the next stage of his career. The following year, Dolph reunited with Key Glock for their first full joint project, Dumb and Dummer, a play on the classic comedy film. Released in 2019, the album shot up to number 8 on the Billboard 200, giving both Dolph and Glock their first ever top 10 project. The critics praised the chemistry between the two, noting how Dolph's songwriting dug into depths of self-loathing and despair, while Glock brought balance with his celebratory, youthful energy. Together, they had found the perfect formula. While dodging bullets made him infamous, it was Dolph's independent vision that made him a star. With Key Glock by his side and Paper Route Empire at his back, he proved the mainstream could be conquered without ever selling out. By 2020, Young Dolph had survived shootings, rivalries, and the pressures of fame. But now, he faced a new challenge: balance. For the first time, Dolph began to wonder if the grind was worth more than time with his family. On Instagram, he shocked fans by hinting at retirement, writing, "Highly considering quitting the music business because I really want to be with my kids 24/7. But Dolph couldn't stay quiet for long. In a May 2020 interview with GQ, he explained why he kept releasing music. "Man, my little boy wanted to hear some new music. I ain't really been on my rapper shit. I've been on my industry shit. the big bro shit. I got a lot of artists, and they going up. So I'm like, yeah, I gotta go ahead and give it to them. I gotta drop it. Even while considering retirement, Dolph delivered. During the COVID pandemic, he released Sunshine, a reflective track about lockdown life. He even updated his old album covers with masks, reminding fans to stay safe. Then came his fifth solo album, Rich Slave. Released on August 14, 2020, it became his highest-charting project ever, debuting at number 4 on the Billboard 200. Dolph explained the title bluntly. It's the reality of being black in this country. Backed by singles like Blue Diamonds, R&B featuring Megan Thee Stallion, and Death Row, the album proved Dolph was still at the top of his game, both commercially and lyrically. Dolph didn't slow down. On March 5, 2021, he and Key Glock released the single Aspen, leading into their second collaborative album, Dumb and Dumber 2. Dropping March 26, 2021, the project was a sequel to their 2019 hit, and this time, they pushed their chemistry even further. The album's cartoon artwork nodded to Beavis and Butthead, reflecting the duo's playful dynamic. Pitchfork gave the album a 7.5 out of 10, noting its effortless casual brilliance. Dolph may have thought about walking away, but Rich Slave and Dumber 2 proved he was still in command. And while the charts showed his power in music, his devotion to his kids and his community made it clear he wasn't just chasing success anymore. He was building a legacy. By 2021, young Dolph was more than a rapper. He was a symbol of independence, family, and community. He stayed deeply rooted in Memphis, the city that raised him, even as his fame reached national heights. Dolph's love for his city was unmatched. He donated $25,000 to Hamilton High, his alma mater, and regularly returned to give motivational speeches to students. He handed out turkeys every Thanksgiving, showing up personally to meet the families he helped. Just days before his death, Dolph gave away meals at a local cancer center and had already planned his next charity drive. To Memphis, he wasn't just an artist. He was their hometown hero. On November 17, 2021, Dolph stopped at one of his favorite local spots, Makita's homemade butter cookies. He had been a loyal customer for years, often supporting the small business whenever he was in town. But this visit turned fatal. 2 gunmen in a white Mercedes pulled up and opened fire. Dolph was struck 22 times. He never stood a chance. Within minutes, word spread across Memphis. Hundreds of fans swarmed the scene, while police worked to secure the area. Dolph, the king of Memphis, was gone at just 36 years old.
The Memphis police chief is asking everyone to stay home tonight after rapper Young Dolph is gunned down and killed at a South Memphis cookie shop.
There will be extra police presence in many parts of the city that might have a connection to the popular rapper to make sure there is no more violence. Hello, I'm Greg Hurst.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., known as Young Dolph, rose to fame mixing tapes and was soon hitting the national music charts.
His death attracted a large crowd to the cookie store on Airways Boulevard, many frustrated and angry that this could happen here. Tonight, we have Team 3 coverage of that shooting, the investigation, and the impact he had on music and the community.
Well, police have finally cleared this scene, but there are family members and fans here tonight. And as you can see behind me, they have boarded up the windows of this business that were damaged or shattered by gunfire. Police are asking for calm as they investigate this murder.
That was my man. Like, why y'all go take him with me?
An 11-year-old fan and aspiring rapper heartbroken over Young Dolph's death. Malik Woodoff says his son was going to be in a video with Dolph.
It's a sad thing, man. You know, it's a hard pill to swallow.
Lots of fans flooded Airways trying to get close to the crime scene. The crowd and cars at times too much for police. Police say Young Dolph was inside Makita's around 12:30 in the afternoon Wednesday when he was gunned down. Police Chief C.J. Davis says they are still talking to witnesses and checking cameras in the area that might have captured the crime, but couldn't say what the shooting was about.
This was a shooting that occurred at a cookie shop, and we're just not sure what that motivation was, and it's a little bit too early for us to tell.
I really thought he would never come back to Memphis because Memphis got a lot of haters.
Police provided an escort complete with sirens and lights for the tow truck driving away Young Dolph's signature camo-covered Lamborghini. The city's top cop says this is another example of the senseless violence plaguing the city and nation.
Our hearts go out to the Thornton family and all who are affected by this horrific act of violence. We are committed to working with the community to stop these senseless murders. We're also dedicated to bringing those responsible for today's shooting and others to justice.
Even in death, Dolph's music kept playing. In January 2022, Paper Route Empire released a tribute compilation, Long Live Young Dolph, with features from Key Glock, Big Moochie Grape, Kenny Money, Jay Fizzle, and more. That December, fans received one last album from Dolph himself, Paper Route Frank. It was raw, witty, and authentic, reminding the world why he was so loved. Young Dolph's story ended in tragedy, but his legacy lives on. Through his music, his family, and Paper Route Empire, his influence remains bulletproof. As the music carried on, Memphis demanded justice. Investigators arrested Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith Jr., accusing them of pulling the triggers at Mojitas. In 2024, Justin Johnson was convicted and sentenced to life in prison for his role in the ambush.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder as charged in count 1 of the indictment. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in count 2 of the indictment. And we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of convicted felon in possession of a firearm as charged in count 3 of the indictment.
In the wake of the guilty verdict, young Dolph's sister, Carlisa Thornton, gave a stirring statement to the press about the man behind the music.
We ask that instead of focusing on those who committed this crime, you focus on the man that Adolph Robert Thornton was. Regardless of the name that you may know him as, such as Adolph, Dolph, or Young Dolph, we ask you to remember the man who enjoyed being a father and spending time with his family. We ask that you remember the man who enjoyed giving opportunities to those who were often overlooked and counted out. We ask that you remember the man who enjoyed giving back to others and being an inspiration to those who come from less than ideal backgrounds, and knowing that they are seen and can change their outcomes and the lives of others by doing something positive.
In addition to his mandatory life sentence for the murder of young Dolph, Johnson received another 35 years for conspiracy to commit murder and possession of a firearm as a felon. The judge ordered the sentences to run concurrently, ensuring Johnson must serve at least 51 years before he can even be considered for parole.
Man sentenced to life in prison for killing young Dolph gets 35 more years tacked onto his sentence, meaning Justin Johnson could be in his 70s before he's even considered for parole. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Greg Hurst.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. The additional sentences were handed down in court this morning. WRG's April Thompson was there as the judge described Johnson's crime as one full of envy and greed.
Justin Johnson was already convicted and sentenced to life for the killing of Memphis rapper Young Dolph. Friday, he was back in court for sentencing on 2 additional charges: conspiracy to commit the murder and being a convicted felon in possession of a handgun. Prosecutors stress Johnson already has several aggravated assault convictions, extreme criminal behavior, and is a danger.
The risk of life to individuals other than the victim in the case, the state would ask you to set maximum sentences.
But Johnson's attorney said additional years to a life sentence would be excessive. He maintained Johnson was never a leader in this crime.
The individuals that were on the ground in front of that cookie store that day were not leaders in an offense. They were manipulated by others.
Judge Jennifer Mitchell went back over testimony about the killing of young Dolph 3 years ago outside Makita's Cookies on Airways, saying Johnson showed a lack of regard for life.
These were crimes that were committed in our community in the middle of the day, in broad daylight, other people around, for greed.
She sentenced Johnson to 35 years for conspiracy and 15 for being a felon with a handgun, to be run concurrent to each other. They will be served consecutive with the life sentence he already had.
I think today's result, sends a very useful message that this kind of violence won't be tolerated, and we will do what we need to do to make sure that people who are dangerous stay locked up so they can't get out onto the streets again.
Cornelius Smith Jr. still faced trial, but in his testimony, he pointed the finger at another man, Hernandez Govan. Smith alleged that Govan had orchestrated the hit, arranged for Dolph to be at Makita's, and knew exactly when to strike. By 2025, all eyes turned to Hernandez Govan. Prosecutors claimed he was the mastermind, tying him to Anthony Big Jook Mims, Yo Gotti's older brother. According to investigators, Mims allegedly placed a $100,000 bounty on Dolph's head, with Govan acting as the organizer on the ground. But the defense attacked the case, branding Smith a pathological liar and pointing out holes in the state's timeline. But in January 2024, even before Govan's trial began, Anthony Big Jook Mims was gunned down in Memphis. He was leaving a funeral service when attackers opened fire.
Police say 2 men were shot outside Perion's restaurant and event center around 4:15. Now that's on Winchester near Kirby. According to the Memphis Police Department, the victim was inside a vehicle at the time and was brought here to St. Francis Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. Now I'm also learning there was a second person who was shot and was also taken to the hospital. It has not been confirmed who the second person is, but we do know it is a man, and he was airlifted to Regional 1 in critical condition.
The man prosecutors had linked to the bounty on Dolph's life was now dead, silenced before he could ever face charges or testify in court. His murder left the city buzzing with speculation. Was it retaliation for Dolph's death, a power move in Memphis's underground scene, or a message to anyone tied to the conspiracy? The streets whispered, but no clear answers ever surfaced. Months later, in August 2025, the jury returned a stunning verdict in Govan's case. Not guilty on all charges. The alleged mastermind walked free. For many, the combination of Big Jook's death and Govan's acquittal meant the truth behind Dolph's murder might never be fully known. For Memphis, the courtroom battles offered no closure. The shooters faced prison, but the bigger picture, the why, the who ordered it, the money behind it, remained blurred. With Big Jook dead and Govan acquitted, justice for young Dolph felt forever unfinished. From the streets of South Memphis to the top of the Billboard charts, young Dolph carved his own path. He survived the streets, dodged bullets, built an empire, and inspired a generation to stay independent and bet on themselves. Through Paper Route Empire, Dolph gave others the chances he had to fight for himself. Through Philanthropy, he gave back to the community that raised him. And through his children, he passed down the lessons of resilience and independence instilled in him by his grandmother, Ida Mae. His life was cut short. His story ended violently, but his music keeps him alive. Every verse, every bar, a reminder of who he was. Fearless, unfiltered, and unapologetically real. Posthumous albums like Long Live Young Dolph and Paper Route Frank carry his voice beyond the grave, ensuring the world never forgets his sound or his spirit. Young Dolph wasn't just a king of Memphis. He was a hustler turned mogul, a survivor turned mentor, and a man who chose freedom over fortune. In the end, his story is bigger than the bullets that tried to stop him. His story is about legacy, proof that one man's grind can inspire millions. Long live Adolph Robert Thornton Jr. Long live young Dolph.